Views and opinions of any of the guests of After Hours AM are not necessarily the views and opinions of After Hours AM, its hosts, its staff, or any of its affiliates.
Welcome to the After Hours program.
Are you
Welcome to After Hours AM, everybody. Often imitated, but never duplicated. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis.
And I'm Steve.
There you go, man. I thought you could leave me hanging.
Sure.
I thought you were messing with me just for a minute there. I thought you could be like, watch this. I'm going to leave him hanging for a minute.
No, never.
Because he talked about Fight Club off the air. No, we were talking about Fight Club, you and I. But I suppose tonight I should tell everybody. Tonight we are, aside from the Fight Club, are all things horror related. And our guest tonight, of course, is the world famous Robert Murch. He is the foremost historian and expert on Ouija boards. He's going to answer the burning question, are they good, are they evil, are they indifferent? We'll all find out together what's behind the Ouija and where it began and why it's so prevalent in pop culture and all that kind of good stuff.
He is the dude, the Ouija dude.
The guru. The Ouija guru. Now, before we came on air, we were talking about Fight Club, and one thing we couldn't figure out, me and Steve, is if you met somebody that belonged to a Fight Club, how would you find out if they belong to a Fight Club if you can never talk about Fight Club? And if you can never talk about Fight Club, how do you recruit members of said Fight Club?
Okay.
I mean, how would you?
Catch-22.
Exactly. How does it grow if you can't talk about it?
Okay, I'll say this. There's certain groups, and they have members, but no one really comes to them. They might make mention about something,
sure,
like the Masons or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody goes, I've always been interested in the Masons. And somebody goes, oh, well, okay. And then maybe somebody will say, by the way, I'm a Mason. They're like that. To my knowledge, they didn't have any fisticuffs and rings. Or
You never know, though.
Most of the guys I saw that were Masons weren't really thin and.
Oh, they weren't like in fighting form, is what you're saying.
No.
Well, I've met a few Masons, and you're right. They're kind of, unless you kind of bring it up, they don't exactly say it. They don't say, I'm a Mason. I'm a third-degree Mason. You just hear that kind of stuff.
No. But, and if they do, they're probably not.
But yeah, more likely. If they just kind of bring it up out of nowhere. Hey, by the way, I'm a Mason. That's like if someone bringing up, hey, by the way, I'm in a Fight Club. If they're announcing it, they probably aren't in one. They just want to sound cool.
Yeah, anybody just rolls down the hill and is like, yeah, I'm in the FBI.
That's right.
I'm a trained killer. I'm a Navy SEAL.
That's right. I'm in the CIA. I'm hunting down Southern terrorists as we speak. That's right. I know they
talk like it all day, man.
All day. I've tried to do that. I've done that to the wife. Talk like Clint Eastwood all day.
I can't do it.
Hey there. Did I fire only 5 or did I shoot 6? You feeling lucky, punk? Are you? You feeling lucky? You know, and she'll just say, shut up, stop that. And I'll say,
Of course.
you know, that whole thing. And be like, all right.
When you do this,
I'm only stopping because I want to.
No, I'm closing. Like I'm hearing you say this, and I'm sort of like mouthing it with you, and I'm closing my eyes and getting a squinty look. Are you doing that too when you're doing that?
I kind of am. Yeah.
You've got to get into the mode.
I used to love Clint Eastwood movies when I was a kid. I still do. Don't you like a good Clint Eastwood flick, especially like a Western?
Oh God, you know? Man, yeah.
He had some of the best lines ever in those movies.
Stuff, please, me and my pop used to watch it all the time.
Yeah, I used to watch Outlaw Josie Wales. Remember that one?
Yeah, it was killer.
And he'd say, "Dying ain't much of a living, boy. Are you just gonna stand there and bleed, or you gotta do something about it?"
You know, there's another movie that had a similar line, but it was a Tombstone, and I think.
Oh yes,
the
great
guy
movie.
Said, what did he say? He said, "Are you gonna skin that mule wagon, or are you gonna?"
Are you gonna pull that? Are you gonna pull that smoke wagon, or you just gonna talk all day?
That's what it was.
Yeah, that's the yep. A great movie.
It's mule wagon. Where the hell?
Yeah,
where did I get that?
That's okay. You know, maybe in the South they call a revolver a mule wagon. You know, who knows? They call it a smoke wagon. But yeah, all those spaghetti westerns they call them because, you know, a lot of them were made by an Italian director, and that's how they got the name spaghetti western.
Well, you know, it's funny because if you look at, especially if you look at kind of like books like Fangoria and stuff like that,
yeah,
you had a lot of stuff like, well, I mean, these weren't westerns, but like The Gates of Hell and
sure.
I'm trying to think, wasn't The Devil's Backbone an Italian film?
I want to say it was, and great films though, really good films. Del Toro made a lot of good scary stuff, like Brain Dead and stuff like that. He made some scary stuff.
I love the Hellboy stuff too.
Yes, very good stuff. I like all those movies. And you know, I was kicking around the interwebs today, and I came across the top 50 Halloween movies that will be watched this year. Top 50, man. You can agree or disagree with this list. I don't know. We're obviously not going to go through all 50 of them, but I'll kind of give the highlights here. You know, they're saying number 50, of course, because it starts with 50 to 1, is the Friday the 13th series is one of the hottest movies during the Halloween season movie series, but I would say that's more of a Friday the 13th movie, wouldn't you say? I mean, you know, the name.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I mean, look at, what was it, Black, what was it? It's a Christmas Story. What was the
one? Yeah.
Evil Santa Claus in it.
Yeah. It was a Black Christmas, and then there was Evil. Yeah. Then there was Silent Night, Deadly Night. Remember that one from back in the 80s?
I remember people were losing their minds.
I know they were freaking out over that movie. That was a great flick, though. You know, scary as hell when I was a kid.
You know, there was one. If I can just jump down a couple.
Sure.
Number 47, Ginger Snaps.
What did you think of those movies? I could take them or leave them.
You know, it's funny because I'm a horror guy.
Yeah.
My kids would slowly, you know, I'm like, okay, yeah, you're probably to this level. You're not quite for this, but this is okay. We'll start here at Casper and Adams.
Yeah, there you go. Start. Then we'll move on to Final Destination for you.
Right.
You know,
so
good.
They always dug it because it was always about, you know, sisters against the world and it was that back and forth drama.
But they're evil sisters.
But that's the best kind.
They are. Twins are inherently evil. And I'll tell you why, because I have twin sisters. I'm not a twin, but my sisters are. And they are 5 years older than I am. And they, growing up, were absolutely 100% evil.
Did they do the thing where they would look at you and like, why? What's the matter, Joe?
Yes, they would. Oh my God. And they even had their own little language back and forth. It was really weird.
Jack and Jill pogo back and forth.
They did. It was weird. And then, of course, they would. I always knew I was in trouble, and they both show up at the same time, and they'd both look at me with that gaze, like you're about to get your butt kicked. And I'd try to run away, and there was two of them. They would get me every time.
And they're 5 years older than you.
And they were 5. And then by the time I was old enough and big enough to defend myself, they were moving out of the house.
Right.
It wasn't even fair.
Well, they already had it planned out, man. By the time, especially sisters,
Oh,
actors, they've already planned out, planned
They're-
B,
they're-
plan C, all these different things.
they were more evil than the Red Rum sisters in The Shining.
Wow,
I'm telling you.
I've seen them. Well, not personally seen them, but I've seen them show up at like cons and stuff.
Isn't
And
it
that's
freaky?
they are still kind of creepy. I mean, I'm sure they're wonderful ladies and stuff.
They
but
are
it's just
creepy.
like, yeah, when they just sit there and they cock their little heads. Mary-Kate Ashley was kind of creepy as they got older.
There was definitely a creep factor about those two. Then they both got super skinny, and they're both on meth or whatever. Yeah, it was weird.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, they were druggies, I think. Don't quote me. Allegedly, they were on drugs.
Send all hate mail to Joe
Yeah,
Sturgis.
exactly. So if you love them, and I'm wrong, please correct me. But I do believe those two are on the old meth. If I'm not wrong.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, having girls for the longest time, like the Mary-Kate and Ashley Adventures and all that stuff when they were little kids, and had the detective agency and crap.
Oh, yeah. Then I think they did a few porno movies, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, my God. Seriously?
I'm not sure. That last part I think I was just BSing you about, but no,
I blame Bob Saget.
I wouldn't. Have you ever seen Bob Saget, his skits, his actual comedy skits?
Oh, my God.
How he would...
Yeah, I've seen that.
Oh, it's
geez,
funny
Bob.
as hell, but how do you ever get that job?
Yeah. Well, that's what's so crazy, because my girls, again, aging out of certain stuff into other things, they had always seen, like Aladdin and and all this, and then I threw them on to some like Robin Williams, like in like 1980s cocaine Robin Williams.
When he was good.
Oh my God! And they're like, oh, okay. And they sing like Louis C.K. as they got older.
Yeah,
and I sing the show, and he's like, oh, this is a whole nother level of Jesus. Okay.
Yep. But more titles here, so we don't get mired and talk about twins that are freaky. Unless they are freaky twins, if you know what I'm saying, and that's all good. But then there's Trick or Treat. That made the list, of course. You've seen that one, right? It's an anthology film, and there's this little monster that runs around. And
kid with a giant head.
Yeah. It wasn't bad. I liked it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's kind of a fun little Halloween show, a little movie, and
I have to admit,
yeah.
I thought you meant Trick or Treat from the 80s.
No, not the rock and roll Trick or Treat. But this is actually, if you haven't seen it yet,
amazingly not.
Yeah, the one with you'll see it. You'll see it. It's got a bunch of good actors in it, higher names. I cannot think of the names, of course, right now off the top of my head, but you'd recognize them as character actors from other shows if you do see the movie. And it's not too bad. It really isn't. Then Dead Silence somehow made this list. I'm not a big fan of the Dead Silence.
Now, is it because you don't like puppets?
I hate puppets. I don't like dolls or puppets.
What would you hate? Or what do you hate worse? Clowns, puppets? Let me think. Something else. Like our creepy little kid with black eyes or white eyes.
You know what? If I had to sit... Okay, let's just put it this way. If I'd be locked in a closet with a clown or a black-eyed kid, I guess I would take the black-eyed kid. I don't like clowns. They freak me out. And now with these creepy clowns running around, man, I'm waiting to see one of them things.
Dude, I'm seriously wondering what's going to pop off this Halloween. I'm telling you, people are going to get their jaws smacked. My older brother Mike, he was like, hey, we should get together this Halloween. I'm like, man, that might be cool. My kids might be off from marching bands.
Sure.
Here's an idea. We'll dress as clowns.
No. Don't do that, Steve. Don't do that. You'll end up in jail.
Big X. No, dude. I'm talking no. Come on, bro.
Yeah, let's do it, man. It'd be a good time.
Ahead. Yeah, I'll meet you down there at the corner at 8 p.m. I'm going to get there at like 7:45 and set up the camera because you're going to get beat to death.
Well, then this guy I know, he says, I heard. And I said, what'd you hear, Will? He says, they're going to have a purge-style stuff going on in some of the bigger cities. I said, really? They got the purge? Yep, that's what I heard. So we will see. I don't think so.
No clown's going to take me down in like size 15 shoes.
No. Poor Ronald McDonald, he has PTSD bad over this. In fact, he's taking time off. Yes, Mick PSD. Exactly. He's got to take his Mick medicine, for his Mick PSD. PTSD, poor guy. Another one that made the list, which I don't think should be on here, is Vacancy with Luke Wilson. I mean, it was an all right movie, don't get me wrong, but was it like Halloween scary?
No.
No.
I guarantee there's some stuff on here. Like I guarantee they will mention like the gates of hell. They probably want to have something like basket case or something like.
No, I'm not even seeing Faces of Death.
The Beast Within, something like that. Some of those really cheesy 80s horror.
Yes. Did you ever watch the Faces of Death?
The series? Oh, of course, man.
Did you really?
The rights of manhood.
I know. I used to watch that, and then for the longest time, I thought it was real.
God. Does the thing with the monkey real? Tell me it wasn't.
Let's find out. Let's use the power of Google right now. Was the monkey scene?
Okay. While you're looking for that, I'll explain to these guys. Okay.
Faces of Death.
They're close to your speakers. Here's the deal. There's a scene in Faces of Death. I don't know when 1, 2, 12, whatever. And so these people had this little monkey, and it's running around. Oh, it's so cute, the little monkey. Look, it's running around. Oh, they got a little spot for the table. Look, he can poke his head up in there. Oh, they're sliding a thing. Oh, he can't move his head down. That's kind of weird. I hope it's not going to be a problem. Hey, what's that guy got a mallet? Tack. Oh, he's hitting him in the head. That wasn't really nice. Pow, pow, it's another one. Oh, now they're all hitting him in his head. Oh, well, he ain't moving around so much no more. Okay. Oh, well, why do they got that spoon? And
yeah, I remember that one. Yeah. Evidently, now, according to Internet is America, Faces of Death is fake. The entire series was, and the monkey scene, the infamous monkey scene taking place, and evidently, I cannot remember the scene, but they're saying it was like a posh
dramatization or something.
Yeah, it's kind of like they were sitting around a dinner table, because it's describing the scene that there's 24 people seated around this large dinner table, what looks to be in an emperor's home.
It was like a delicacy. They had people in from America or somewhere. And
yes. And according to what they are saying, that the monkey scene is fake.
Did you know that's where the Pixies got the song "Monkey Goes to Heaven" comes from?
Really, I did not know that.
That's a lie.
Oh, that is a lie. Okay, good.
You told a lie about the twins or something. So I told
that's all right. I could deal with that. But the scene of the monkey, I'm still making sure it was fake. I'm looking for more sources to support this.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's people hunt and eat, primates all the time. They eat all kinds of stuff.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would think that in that part of the world, if monkeys are real prevalent, maybe they look at them as game, wild game.
Like
but
deer.
Yeah, would I want to crack one over the head and rip its skull apart just to get its little itty bitty brain? No, I think that's horrible. That's animal cruelty. Weren't the monkeys alive when they brought them in, too?
Yes. I mean, they were playing and loving on them, and we like
to
make
this is so much fun. Look at this one's in a diaper. Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah.
He's going to need it in a minute.
Yeah. Poop. And then they hit with a mallet on top of the head, and that was it.
They didn't even hit them hard, though. But
no, it's just a poop, little poop.
It's slow.
Yeah, just a slow. But it was fake. According to the internet, and God knows everything is real on the internet, it was fake. According to what is this filmreality.com, as claiming that the monkey brain scene indeed was faked for the show. Well, and that gelatin was used, molded gelatin was used to simulate brains.
I was trying to figure out what the monkey knew on Hillary.
Well, yeah. Boy, the monkey knows a lot, but it's smart enough not to say anything. He doesn't want to get, knocked off prematurely.
No.
Okay, next on the list is House of 1,000 Corpses.
Okay, I mean,
I could see that. I mean, it was a pretty good Rob Zombie movie. Kind of for its time was shocking as hell. No one's seen anything yet, but like that.
It kind of harkened back to the old grindhouse stuff of the 70s, and
it did.
It had a lot of 70s elements in it.
And then, Creep Show is on there, of course. The series Creep Show, the show Creep Show.
Right.
Pet Sematary, Amityville Horror, of course. The Changeling. I haven't seen that in forever. George C. Scott in that one. That was a pretty good one. That was pretty scary.
It was. And George C. Scott, he's so intense.
Yeah, he was already scary to begin with.
Jesus.
I'm George C. Scott.
That's another voice to do through.
And he'd always yell just like this. I'm here. I'm mad. Not really. This is just how I talk. Right. And then, of course, Leviathan with David Bowie actually made the list. How that movie made the list is...
Did you say Leviathan or Labyrinth?
Labyrinth, sorry.
Okay.
Labyrinth. Labyrinth made it. made the list, and of course I saw the L, and I don't know where my brain was going.
I would have put what was the movie that had Tom Cruise in it early? Legend.
Oh yeah,
him and Tim Curry in it.
Yep. Oddly enough, no Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a camp on horror.
I mean, but everybody, this time of year, everywhere around the world, basically, they're gearing up to have the Rocky Horror Picture Show dress-a-thon stuff. You know what I'm saying? In fact, I do believe on Fox they are doing Rocky Horror Picture Show. They're remaking it.
Some things shouldn't be remade.
No, that is true. The Blair Witch Project. Did you ever see the new one? The new Blair Witch?
The one that's supposed to be an actual continuation of or something?
Yeah, did you ever get to see that one?
I have not yet. I'm going to I may just have to wait till it comes out.
I missed out on it too. I'm going to have to wait. I can't even get a bootleg copy. Come on. What's wrong in this world? I have yet to see that one. I don't know. The Blair Witch Project, to me, growing up in the woods like you, I was thinking, geez, guys, you're in the woods. Big deal. Chill out.
Well, I mean, and that's all good. That's all good until, at night, and you have to go out to do something, and you're kind of hearing the trees knocking over here.
In 1999, I was waiting for them to get busy, if you know what I'm saying. I was a young guy. I'm like, wait a minute, 2 guys, 1 girl in the woods? Yeah. And no one's making them any moves on anybody? What?
Somebody would be screaming.
And these are college kids. What?
Well, maybe they were kind of like too depressed. I mean, maybe they're
too depressed.
I don't know.
No, but I mean, the movie was actually pretty for its time. I think the build-up was scarier than the actual movie.
Right? Yeah, it's kind of like let your mind scare you more than anything.
Yeah,
in the film,
it was that ramp up to what is, and then of course on the list is the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre that came out in 2003.
Right.
I like the original. The original to me is much scarier than the remake. That's just my opinion.
Right, because everybody was very unhinged and it was so normal to them.
Yeah.
And that was what was so hardcore because, like I said, do you remember the scene where? And I'm a very big special needs advocate, and I'm like, yes, equal treatment for everybody.
Sure.
Was it that movie that they killed a kid in a wheelchair? Was it that or like a
that was Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, where the kid was in the wheelchair and they found him in the woods. He was being pushed by this good-looking blonde, and Leatherface came up on him, chopped them both in half.
Yeah, he'll do that.
Yeah, evidently he never heard of the ADA.
He never. He missed out on that memo.
Like he was supposed to give him a ramp or something. To get away. No, all joking aside, of course. But no, he did show up, chopped them both up. He didn't care if he's a wheelchair or not. He just called them Meals on Wheels.
No, boom. Let me ask you this: 34. How in God's name, or Satan's name, or whatever, the never-ending story?
I don't know. I was just about to read that. I was going to say, how did the never-ending story make it onto this list of the scariest or the best Halloween movies of all time? How did the never-ending story get there?
Well, how even Creepshow, which was it
was
campy, but it was scarier than that.
Yeah, it was. The never-ending story is more like a Disney after-school special thing going on.
Right.
That doesn't scream scary to me. A guy flying around on a dog thing. Yay, that's scary. That's hilariously scary.
It was like part dog and part sock.
Yeah, it was something. It's some weird creature. And then Close Encounters of the Third Kind, they made it on number 33, which, I get it. Okay, Close Encounters, all right, that's freaky on its own. And then, of course, Interview with a Vampire weighs in at number 31. Are you kidding me? Oh, that movie.
Yeah.
That movie was just, I don't want to call it an abortion, but my God, it was close.
Was it human garbage?
It was close, man. It was close. Very close. Now,
I'll give it credit for at least no one sparkled. At least no one sparkled.
Hey, now we know why Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise never ever came back as vampires. They never did reprise their roles. At least not that I know of anyway. Thank God they haven't. The Descent, of course, that was a good flick. If you've never seen The Descent, that's a good one to watch, Steve.
Yeah, I like that.
Number 30, and then 29, of course, which I thought it should came in higher, was Nightmare on Elm Street.
I agree.
28 is... Yeah, do you remember in the 80s when Nightmare on Elm Street first came out?
Oh, God, yeah.
It freaked the hell out of everybody. It freaked the hell out of everybody, man. I mean, we were talking about on the school bus the next day after seeing it, go like, oh, my God, that was the scariest thing ever. And now you watch it, it's so bad. You're like, oh.
But think about it, too. Think about it, man. We were not at the level of effects and things. Would you get me wrong? Do not get me wrong. I love those old effects. These guys, groundbreaking. God bless them. Guys like, we were talking about Mike. Oh, God. Thinking his last name. He had a brother named Tom.
Sure.
Effects artist. He was in Dusk to Dawn and a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. Tom Savini.
Thank you. Thank you. I had a senior moment. But those guys are really breaking ground on a lot of the stuff. But like you said, once you go back, it's hindsight's 20 and all that stuff. And you're going to go,
who knows? Number 25, now I thought it should have ranked a lot better, was The Exorcist.
Let me get down to that. Oh, my God. See, okay.
I don't know who made this list.
Top 5.
Top 5. Let's get down to the top 5 here. Okay, Ghostbusters made it to number 18, just for all you Ghostbusters fans, which that's a travesty of justice right there. It should have been way higher than that, in my opinion. Oh, Rocky Horror Picture Show is on the list. I am mistaken. Number 10. Beetlejuice.
I'll give it that.
Beetlejuice, number 8. Young Frankenstein comes in at number 7.
Give him the sedative.
That was a good show, though. It's Frankenstein.
Wonderful.
That was a great movie.
Normal. No, there's so many classic lines in it.
Oh, my God. One-liner city, you know? There's 2 movies that I draw a lot of inspiration from when doing radio sometimes. One of them's Young Frankenstein, and the other one's Airplane.
Oh, for sure. Well, I noticed here higher, and I'll let you finish this list, but
sure.
Like Poltergeist was like 12 or 13?
Yeah, Poltergeist didn't do very well on there. I thought for sure. Get this, though. Night of the Living Dead came in at number 11.
No.
11. I mean, that showed every Halloween night on most every cable access because it's royalty free.
Right. Well, I'll say this, and I'll shut up. I swear I will. Okay, Exorcist is going to be in the top 5. American Werewolf in London should be in the top 5.
I don't even see American Werewolf. Do you see it on here?
Oh, I haven't even seen it yet.
I haven't even seen it yet. Poltergeist is on 15. Edward Scissorhands somehow makes it on this list at 16. Number 17 is Shaun of the Dead. I mean, I know we're bouncing everywhere, folks, but my God, I cannot. Who made this list? Send me the person that made me this list.
Bring me the head.
Yes, bring me the head. Or maybe a pinky, just to prove he got to him. Number 6 is Dracula. The one with Keanu Reeves in it. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. The Haunting, that was on there. That is number 5.
Which that was a fine. I like that.
It was fine.
A lot of creepy vibes to it.
Number 4 is Sleepy Hollow with Johnny Depp.
I liked it. The kids love it.
Well, yeah, the kids love it. But number 3 is Nosferatu. Number 2 is The Shining. And number 1, everybody, drum roll, please, Halloween. Halloween's your number 1 Halloween movie. But this is supposed to be a list of the scariest movies for Halloween.
No, they could have cut this down. They could have pulled out quite a few. Like, never in the story. That had to have been somebody just wasn't.
Oh, that must have been, or someone loved it so much. You know, I mean, how the hell did Hocus Pocus make it on here? It's a good Halloween movie, but is it scary? No.
Oh, no, of course not. But, well, hell, I mean, sorry. I would have put Halloween Town before I put Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, or Gremlins should have had a better spot than 19.
What about Child's Play?
I didn't even see Child's Play on here. I'm going back to see, and I don't even think Child's Play was mentioned.
Was it Tales of Terror that had Karen Black and the little creepy fetish doll?
I think so. I think so.
That movie. It's so good, but screw that movie. The Mist.
Yes.
Come on.
There's a lot of great movies, I think, that should have made it on this list that did not. I mean, they could have taken up the vacancy spot. They could have taken up the... some of these, like the Never-Ending Story or the Time Machine, H.G. Wells, or Labyrinth, or any of them, really. I mean, but Never-Ending Story never should have even made the list. At all.
Not at all. I mean, and that's the thing. It's sort of like I don't know what they were thinking. I don't think maybe there's like, okay, well, we'll throw something that's a little middle of the road, but you could have put other
But movies. Here is
Friday the 14th or something like that.
Here's the deal.
Not Fright Night.
Okay, before we go to break, here's the biggest travesty of justice on this list. One of them, if not the biggest.
Let's hear
The
it.
Evil Dead came in at number 27.
I was going to ask you about that. That does not compute.
That just does not. I mean, who made the list? I mean, obviously someone that doesn't love horror movies as much as you and I made this list, and they were just throwing anything out there. Oh yeah, let's just go ahead. We'll just throw that in the list. Not a problem. No one will care. Who's gonna read this?
Bunch of stupid kids. I was watching this, and I'm looking at it thinking, was this maybe like from The Onion, like redirected from The Onion? But it's not. This is a
standalone. It's a film school. It's a film school, WTF.com, and they put a lot of these lists out there, and generally they're pretty good lists, but this is supposed to be the best, scariest Halloween movies. And I'm sorry, that isn't. We got to run a break, though. We come back, we're going to talk about Ouija boards before we have Robert Murch on, but we're going to talk about the rules of conduct with your Ouija board. Don't go anywhere.
It's hard to believe it was just last night when it all hit me. I fell on the floor and watched the ceiling fan go round.
Anavar Media LCC is a dedicated team of professionals committed to helping business development scale and protect their websites, mobile applications, enterprise software solutions in the Northeast Ohio area. Locally owned since 2012, our client-centered values truly sets Anavar apart. Contact us today to learn how you can get 25% off your first project. Call them at 234-380-4852. Again, that's 234-380-4852, or visit them at www.anavar.com. Again, that's www.anavar.com.
In 1999, The Exorcist was voted the scariest movie of all time.
Your daughter doesn't say she's a demon. She says she's the devil himself.
Entertainment Weekly calls it the most viscerally harrowing movie ever made.
That thing upstairs isn't my daughter.
The most electrifying movie of the 20th century is now coming back to theaters.
Where's Reagan?
In here with us.
Author William Peter Blatty and director William Friedkin have created an expanded, thrilling new version of The Exorcist with footage that has never been seen before.
She needs a priest.
Don't miss The Exorcist in the version you've never seen. Possessing theaters everywhere. Rated R, under 17, not admitted without parent.
Hey everybody, this is Joel Sturgis, and did you know that After Hours AM and America's Most Haunted have a great new website out there? You're going to want to visit America's-Most-Haunted.com. There you can get all the new content from all the writers for America's Most Haunted, as well as the great haunted headlines everybody loves each and every week, as well as catch After Hours AM live right there, along with podcasts, past shows, and get to know your hosts, as well as contact us all in one stop. You're going to love it. You're not going to want to go anywhere else. So come to America's-Most-Haunted.com today. Do you have a question for our guest tonight? Don't feel like calling the show? Not a problem. Email those questions to afterhoursam@gmail.com. Again, that's afterhoursam@gmail.com.
The child won't even let me touch her.
Yes. Sometimes you have to give them candy.
Welcome back to After Hours AM, everybody. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis.
And Steve Asher.
And the beautiful Steve Asher. He was once a hand model, you know.
A ham model?
A hand model for Jurgens. He did the before and after shots. Look, Mom, no hair.
Man, you can take that so many different directions with that.
That's what I said. Look, Mom, no hair.
Oh, okay.
You gotta go blind doing that. Okay, here's 25 Ouija board rules. I did not know there was etiquette and rules, so many of them, with a Ouija board. I was unaware of this, and this was brought to my attention that there's the rules to play with one of them. So I said, really? Yeah, here's the link. All right. Let's take a gander at the 25 rules. 1, never utilize the Ouija board alone.
Fact.
And they have an exclamation point after it, so it must be like the most important rule. Number 2 is never utilize an Ouija board if you are depressed, stressed, irritated, upset, bored, furious, sad. What is that? What is that? Trepidation? What?
Trepidatious.
Okay, yeah. Afraid, shocked, overconfident. Sorry, I'm a little ways away from my computer screen, and the writing's like really tiny. Or drowsy, as you could let a demon into your life. What? So basically, there's never a time where I'm not one of these.
Right. It's
what I mean? There's never a time.
Use the Ouija board if operating heavy equipment. Talk to your doctor before using the Ouija board.
And if you're really excited for more than 4 hours. Consult a physician. There's no time most of us would ever be able to use a Ouija board if you follow that rule. Because we're all either stressed, depressed, irate, upset, bored, furious, sad. I mean, pretty much every human emotion they threw in there.
Mr. Spock is the only person that can run this.
Exactly. You're supposed to go in there with nothing at all in your mind, like being the Spock. That does not compute. Just wow. Okay, number 3. If you get a demon, making it sound like it's a cold. Hey, if you get a demon, blessing the home could make the demon worse than it already was.
Well, I mean, all right, first of all, that's my whole thing. Already by the 3rd, well, you shouldn't. It's just if you get a demon, not if you get a knock at the door, a scratch on the window. If you get a frigging demon.
Yeah, it's not like you catch a cold from your buddy from sitting too close at the football game or something.
Like,
you're gonna get a demon, and that's just a foregone conclusion. So whatever you do, don't bless your house.
Demon's running all through me.
That's right. Okay, number 4, don't give the Ouija board to someone else to give them problems. Never utilize a Ouija board if you think it is a game. Oh my God, it's only marketed as a game.
It says it on the box.
It does. Parker Brothers, you know what I mean? They're the ones that put it out there.
It's okay. Yeah, continue. I'm scratching my head on that one.
Number 5 is never let the spirit count down through the numbers. What? Or what if he was in a former life the NASA countdown guy? Or go through the alphabet as they can get out of the board this way. Who the hell's writing these rules? And of course,
so you got to find a demon with dyslexia.
You got to find a special needs demon that has a hard time following spelling. Basically, like you said, a dyslexic demon. To show up and going, what? What are you doing? Are you kidding me? This is getouijaboard.tumblr.com, by the way. And there's a big long post, of course, Ouija board rules. If you just want to look it up too, you can follow with us. But this is ridiculous. Who the hell wrote these rules? My Lord. Okay, if the planchette goes to the 4 corners of the board it implies that you have reached, I'm just trying to wrap my mind around that last rule, reached a wickedness soul or evil presence into your life.
That's a really badly built sentence. As a writer, I'm just...
I know, I'm sure. That's why I'm having a hard time reading half this stuff, because it's misspelled as well.
It's tripping you up so much, because it's the way it's wrote is like...
Oh my God, it's like a 2-year-old showed up and started just pounding on the keyboard. You ought to never utilize a Ouija board. He likes the word utilize a lot. Whoever wrote this. In the event that you are a doubter or an atheist, as you could get a wickedness soul or demon.
What the F is a wickedness soul? I've never I've researched a lot of stuff. I've never
If the planchette tumbles from a Ouija board, a soul will get detached. Are you kidding me? So if it falls off the table, like if you're, if you accidentally push it off, it's a soul's detached, it's going to come get you? Are you kidding me? In the event that the planchette over and over makes a figure 8, it implies, my God, there's a lot of wickedness, that a wickedness soul is in control of the board.
Yeah. See, I never had this problem with an Etch-a-Sketch.
No, folks, buy an Etch-a-Sketch. Don't buy a Ouija board then. These rules just don't make any sense. Okay, if you're out to get a wickedness soul rapidly, now it's going to tell us how to conjure one up. This is Rule 10, by the way. If you're out to get a wickedness soul, rapidly flip around the planchette and utilization it that way. Okay, I like the way the sentences are made here. Okay, folks, basically, he's saying if you're out to get the wicked one, the wickedness soul, rapidly flip around the planchette, and the utilization will have... that just makes no sense in the sentence. Utilization will do that, basically. Oh, my God, this person needs phonics. Hooked on phonics worked for me.
Yes.
The board must be closed. Opportunity for evil spirits will remain until to haunt the operator. Steve, is it just me, or is these sentences just not right, man?
I'm trying to figure out if maybe there was some mushrooms involved.
I'm telling you, the wickedness is not the board; it's the person writing these damn rules. That's the wickedness.
Well, that's what's giving me the demon of like eye strain trying to read.
Oh my God! Never utilize a Ouija board when you are ill or in the debilitated. He misspelled it though. Condition, since this may make you vulnerably susceptible to possession.
Well, I mean, you remember hearing back, like the old Artville stuff, and they had like Father.
Well, yeah, I remember all that right. Stuff. I mean, it does, sure, but if you refer back to rule number 2, no one can operate it anyway, because we're all in one of those moods. You see what I'm saying? Let's see. Always be obedient and never upset the spirits. Huh. Okay, that's 15. 14. Sorry about that. Jumped a little bit. Evil spirits contacted through the Ouija board will endeavor. Sorry, he just totally weird. Endeavor to win your confidence with malicious flattery and pervasiveness. I don't know. Well, anyhow, basically these rules are bunk, folks. I mean, my God, rule number 2 it makes me sound like I'm a retarded monkey, excuse my language, because I realize that's totally non-PC to say. But here's the deal, is it makes me sound like I'm a 2-year-old trying to figure out how to read for the first time. But here's the deal. Is this guy, whoever wrote these rules, Steve, dude?
Yes, I'm saying. I do not know.
I mean...
This has the same sort of sentence structure as all those. I don't know if you know this, but I'm pretty popular with a lot of royalty. Every once in a while, I'll get an email from somebody from Nigeria.
I am too. And there's always a check involved.
Yeah, you know him too?
I do. Isn't he a prince?
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's what I hear.
Yeah.
But no, that's the thing. Yeah, because anything that may have been in this, and I don't know what you would say. It's get a Ouijaboard.com or whatever.
Yeah, well, this link was sent to me on a person on Facebook, of course, and they're the ones that wrote these rules. I'm going to be getting back to this person on Facebook about their rules, and I'm going to tell them, hey, number 1, There's a little thing called spell check out there.
Spell check is huge.
It is. Maybe a grammar check. You know, you might want to do that as well. But I'm just saying, but we will continue the best we can. Okay, a Ouija board will scream if you try to burn it.
No.
People will hear the scream less than 30... They're going to hear the scream 36 hours till what?
Oh my God.
Okay, now, whoever hears the scream, allegedly, if you hear the scream of the Ouija board, there's a countdown timer involved. That's 36 hours to live.
So if you got a day or two before Thanksgiving, you want to let your bird thaw out good. Throw a Ouija board, put your frozen bird in the sink.
Burn the Ouija board in its presence, so it screams.
When the screams are done, your bird is done.
I'm surprised deer hunters just don't do that a couple days before deer season. Burn a Ouija board in the woods, and then walk away, before it starts screaming, so every deer just dies.
Yeah, that's mental. That doesn't even begin to make sense. Well, what about the one where it's talking about if you place a pristine silver coin on the board, this is number 23,
okay,
no evil spirits will be able to come through. I don't buy that any more than I necessarily buy the.
This is no evil spirits will be able to come through. Why? Because silver, the power of silver compels you.
Right. Well, even the thing when like on 21 where it's talking about there's no the only proper way to dispose of it, break the board into 7 pieces, sprinkle it with holy water, and then bury it. First of all, if you have,
but what if you miscount?
That's too much work for me.
That is a lot of work.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, this turned into an art project.
Origami just happened. Come on.
Satanic origami. That should be like a band. It's like they're playing at the Whiskey tonight. Satanic origami. But
now, can you cut it, or does it have to be broken? Because as far as I knew, they were made of cardboard.
Yeah, kind of a card, like a board game.
Yeah, I mean, how would you? I would think a scissors would be better to use.
Man, throw it out in the backyard with my dog for about 20 minutes. It'll be gone.
He'll take care of it. You'll buy a million pieces. Wow, man. So basically, break it up. If you want to get rid of it, don't burn it, number 1. Because it'll scream. And then, of course, you'll die in a day and a half. Yeah, so that's a bad thing. Anyone that has an X, though, that you don't like very well, you can always just go light it up and leave it at their front door.
Oh, no. Oh, God. Any hate mail.
I'm just saying.
No, man, that's just yikes. But you know what's crazy? Especially you got like a house full of a lot of loud screaming kids anyway. They're not going to notice anything's burning.
What I would do is I would get a family reunion going. And I would say, hey, guys, watch this. Light it up and start screaming. Next thing you know, I inherit all the money.
Oh, my God. Man, yeah. I know some like babies, kids like that would be going, look at the man screaming. Hey, never jinx on us.
Okay, it says number 24 rule. I'm just going to jump around because these are just too stupid to read one by one. Right. Never leave the planchette on the board if you aren't utilizing it. Why? What's going to happen?
The evil spirits will take control.
What's going to happen? Seriously. Now, have you ever owned a Ouija board, Steve?
I've seen them. I've never owned one. And
excuse me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know them well enough. Like I said, I don't give guns to toddlers, and I don't.
Have you ever used one? Have you ever sat down and used a Ouija board?
One time.
Tell me your Ouija board story.
We were at an older house.
Sure.
And I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's that whole thing. Are you moving it? No, you're moving it. That kind of crap. Anyway.
Yeah.
Didn't do a whole lot, and we're just like, who lived here? Didn't really say it. Kept doing the kind of weird movements and kind of stalled out and go and stall out. And then it finally ended up writing out like a gray woman or something like that. Or I thought it meant old lady and stuff. And then it kind of just went quiet.
Wow. See, now there's...
Well, what kind of find out? Apparently the original owners of the house, last names were Gray.
Oh.
Coincidental, maybe. I mean, nobody grew fangs. Nobody was crawling across the ceiling or nothing like that. But it was enough that the fact that we did get some response. Like, yep, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, no, that'd be enough, But evidently, there's 3 things that you can never ask the Ouija board under any circumstances.
Right.
You never ask about God. You never ask when you're going to die. And you never ask where the gold is buried.
Always ask where the gold is.
I would always. I would ask if first. I'd say, "Are you a leprechaun ghost?" And if you are, where is the rainbow? And more importantly, where is the gold? And they'll go.
Blackbeard.
You know,
Blackbeard. Where's the booty?
And then it starts spelling SCREW. No, I. That's stupid. That's just stupid. I mean, that's just dumb. I mean, that's almost as dumb as recently there was a guy, I won't name names, that claimed that the group that claimed they could catch a ghost.
Oh,
did you ever hear about these? No, they were, and they showed me their dog kennel that they fitted with mirrors. And so I stopped there for a second and I say to the guys, "Okay, here's the deal. You're telling me that your kennel that you bought from Menards or wherever, PetSmart, that you fitted with some cheap mirrors is going to capture a ghost that not only transcended life but time and space and has the free will to do whatever it wants and travel wherever it wants, when it wants, a blink of an eye, but somehow you're going to freak it out with a bunch of mirrors."
Right.
So we
should be having a bunch of, like, every single car in America should have, like, Aunt Janie or like
exactly
something in a mirror. That's
I know you know who I'm talking about, right? With the mirrors,
names sure remain nameless.
Yeah, they will remain nameless. But do you think it's as ludicrous as I do?
I think it's a heck of a marketing idea for kennels and mirrors for people.
I wonder if there's going to be, now this Christmas, you too can capture your own ghost.
The ghost
and put a Ouija. What would you use for bait?
Make the bottom of it a Ouija board.
Exactly. So get one of your buddies to go into the dog kennel with the mirrors, with a Ouija board, and start, messing around. You should capture like Abraham Lincoln in no time.
So this is like your jerky guy moment. This is your guy. Here, going in here. It's okay, Tommy.
It's okay. You're the expendable one.
Yeah, you got the car keys, right? Yeah, give me your car keys. We got to get out of here.
Yeah, you're the one that owns the 85 van out there. Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
We had to haul our gear back.
Yes.
But, I was being explained the other day, because evidently it's been out for quite a while, the dog kennel mirrors, how in theory this could work. And how they know. My next logical question is, how do you know when you catch a ghost? How do you know he's even in there? Well, we have meters in there. Oh. Well, if you take the meter out and you open the door, won't the ghost run away?
Right.
Well, no. What do you do? Okay, assuming you capture a ghost in the dog kennel, is there a ghost reserve that you send him to? I mean, that you let him free? Like, get out of here, little guy, and you let him go? I mean...
So, what do these guys think? Do they come in here, and does it do any damage to the ghost? Is it like they went to like a spook house and bumped into the mirror? Boom, I'm getting out of here. Bam!
I don't know. There was a lot of unanswered questions when I was asking them because they actually want to come on air. And I said, I don't know. Okay.
I would like to see an actual utilization.
I'd like to see a demonstration. Steve is volunteering his services.
No, I'm glad to film it.
To go into the kennel.
Yeah.
No, but it's just nuts. I mean, something that allegedly is, well, first off, you're kind of messing with its free will, aren't you?
Well, you're playing with something that's a free, to use the Ghostbusters term, a free roaming vapor.
Exactly. Basically. I mean, what right do you have to basically incarcerate this being?
Sentient being, you're right. I mean,
but anyhow, it came to mind because I was thinking, if you threw a Ouija board in there that screams, and you light it on fire, and the ghosts come popping out, and you put it in the little kennel with the mirrors, you become an instant millionaire because you'd have all these ghosts you just captured.
Now, wouldn't the smoke from the board obscure the glass?
You would think so. You think, well, the heat might do something bad to it. Yeah, you're right. It was just a theory of mine. I was thinking that if I was in one of these bad moods that they list in rule number 2, I could use the Ouija board in the kennel.
Well, let me ask you this then. All right, you know about Faraday cages, right?
Sure.
Okay. Works in electromagnetism and all that. Yep. To me, that would be more an apt application of trying to at least immobilize a ghost temporarily, because you're not gonna keep something like that. You're not gonna be able to hold it. But you would think that would be something closer to it. You know, like you remember like the old what was the ship? They tried to do the visibility Philadelphia experiment.
Yes,
Okay.
Or they try to do the transport it.
Well, people had reported, seeing people like, on the decks that weren't on the decks. And that even ties into some of the doppelganger stuff that you and I talked about not long ago. Seeing people in different spots of the ship.
Sure.
So I would say that would, I just don't see what a dog kennel and a mirror is going to do.
You've seen the thing, right? The apparatus.
I think I have. If you have a link, feel free to share it with me.
Here, let me see if we can get a link. Let me go ahead. I don't mean to be silent here because dead air is bad air.
No, that's fine. We're just trying to locate this link to this.
Yes. Let's see.
On a mirror box or a mirror cage?
Yeah, it's like a mirror cage. I'm looking for the exact link that they were when they were trying to, tell me about their apparatus, and these folks allegedly are sane. I'm assuming.
Well, to their it's not to their credit, but devil's advocate. Maybe they come across it. Maybe the type of material is not a standard.
Yeah, maybe. Anyhow, they were telling me about their trap the other day, and I was thinking, well, geez, if you could trap a ghost, and you could take said ghost, what do you do with? My biggest question to them was A, how do you know you got a ghost? B, if you do finally find out you have a ghost, what do you do with it after you catch it? It's a bit like the dog catching the car. You chase it all the time, and you finally get it. Now what do we do with it?
Anybody that's ever watched anything where someone angered a ghost, look at the old Bell Witch stuff.
Yeah, man.
Exactly. Them guys can come and go and do whatever they wanna.
Yes. Yes. That's the thing. I don't know. And do I think that we should trap ghosts? Not necessarily. That even brings up the whole profiting off the dead thing. Like people paying to investigate places. Yeah, that's another slippery slope sometimes in my mind.
Right. And I think sometimes you have an issue where, at least in my eyes, okay, I am paid by how many diamonds I find in your mine. Yep. Okay, or I am paid by how many whatevers I come across, how many bugs I kill under your house. If I'm making sure there's bugs in your house, I'm going to keep getting paid well. It should be more for the research of it alone.
Yeah.
But everyone wants those results.
Well, you hear people that guarantee cleansings and, I can walk around my smudge stick and my sage, get rid of your ghost. How do you prove it?
Yeah, you can't. That's the
$19.99 and I'll show up and I'll smoke your house out.
Smoke it out.
Smoke it out. Or even the people with blurry images out there, stuff like that. The evidence that has even taken a hit lately, with what is evidence anymore of the paranormal. But what I'm saying, I guess, basically is, okay, how do you prove anything in this field? Like, A, if you can catch a ghost. B, if you could smudge one out, using a smudge stick. I've never seen any evidence to the effect that you could actually remove a ghost by cleansing with a smudge stick. I don't know about you.
Well, I think it probably has more to do with like you've talked about other stuff. It's got to do with your intent.
Exactly.
You can walk there with a Tootsie Roll and maybe run it out if your intent is to board this thing off.
I have my 1983 Joe Montana Wheaties box. And by the power of Joe Montana, you will leave.
My God, that's a random thing to pull out.
Isn't it really? Doesn't that be weird? I got Jerry Rice with him.
Here is an exact replica of Gary Buse's teeth and Buddy Holly.
By the power of Buddy Holly, you will be banished from these premises.
Who's the guy? Hey, Harry Carey, that guy.
Holy cow! Holy cow! You're out of here.
got this half-empty bottle of scotch from Harry Carey.
And it was his last bottle, too, so it's really special.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't drink it.
No, don't
I'm not
touch
sure how
that.
He died, so might have something to do with it.
Here is Elvis Presley's Aqua Velva. And I'm telling you, by the power of Graceland, you are leaving this home.
Oh, my God. The power of Graceland. Yes. I just got a crossover between that and, like...
You spread it like holy water.
Like Johnny Bravo's doing, like, paranormal investigations and stuff.
Let me tell you, honey, you're out of here. That's right, you're out of here. That's right, give me a 1, give me 2, you're out of here.
That's it. Hey, man, and that would probably sell.
That would too. Aquavelva worn by the king.
Yeah.
We'll remove any demon, any ghost.
That might be a good sponsor.
It's a hunk of burning aftershave.
Hunk of burning pygmy.
We're way off the track here. But basically, we're going to find out some of the rules. We talked to Robert Murch, of course, here in a few minutes. But I think the author of these rules needs to maybe go back, figure out what he's doing in his life, and get back a hold of us. I'm just saying, But in the meantime, we got to run to Fox News. Be right back with Mr. Robert Murch right after this.
Live from New York, The Fox Report.
I'm Lisa Brady. And this is a Fox News alert. The final showdown between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump begins 4 hours from now in Las Vegas, but their running mates already jabbing away.
This is schoolyard bully stuff.
Clinton's running mate, Tim Kaine.
The big bully who is so tough. And then the first time you stand up to him, it's whine, 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 whine.
Ridiculing Trump's rigged election claims as he rallies in Ohio and North Carolina.
But it's not exactly like it's a fair fight out there.
Trump's running mate, Mike Pence, in Colorado.
It's like it's been 2-on-1 every day with the national media doing half of Hillary Clinton's work for her.
But how much of the latest controversies will come up tonight? The moderator is Fox's own Chris Wallace. Fox Radio's Tanya J. Powers live in Vegas.
Well, Lisa, the topics include economy and immigration, but, Tim drives a cab here. He told me he is tired of the rhetoric and the nastiness, and he wants both candidates to give some real solutions to things like health care.
I'm having trouble going to my doctor, and I work every day, and I've never not had a job. And now my insurance is so expensive that I can't even afford to go to the doctor.
Now, earlier today, I talked to some protesters who had gathered outside Trump International Hotel just off the Vegas Strip. They had free tacos, food trucks, and Latina women wearing sashes that read Miss Housekeeping, a nod to Trump's scandal involving Miss Universe, Lisa.
Thanks, Tanya. Live coverage tonight on Fox News Channel and many Fox News radio stations. NBA star Derrick Rose has just been cleared by a federal jury in L.A. of gang rape allegations in a civil trial. His ex-girlfriend sued, claiming Rose and 2 friends took advantage of her when she was too intoxicated to consent. They said it was consensual and she was just after money. 2 in a row on Wall Street. The Dow up 40 points. On the Fox Report, fair and balanced. The commander of U.S. forces in the Middle East says the fight to retake Mosul, Iraq's second-largest city, could take months, depending in part on how ISIS fighters react.
Pentagon officials believe that there are about 4,000 to 5,000 or so ISIS fighters in Mosul, but they describe them as some of the most extreme, and many of them are, in fact, foreign-born fighters. And out of this sort of extreme position, these fighters, the Pentagon fears they may resort to just about anything they can do to hold on to Mosul, including using chemical weapons.
Fox's Connor Powell. There are dozens of U.S. troops embedded with Iraqi and Kurdish forces, but away from the front lines in an advisory role. Apache helicopters, though, are now part of the U.S. air support. A deadly attack on a U.S. base in Afghanistan. 2 service members and a civilian defense worker were killed.
The attack took place at Camp Moorhead, a U.S. Special Forces base outside Kabul, a U.S. defense official tells Fox News. Additionally, 1 U.S. service member and 2 U.S. civilians were wounded in the shooting. The 3 wounded are in serious but stable condition. An official tells me it was an inside-the-wire incident. The shooter was dressed in an Afghan military uniform.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson at the Pentagon. 4 U.S. military members have been killed in action in Afghanistan this year, even though the combat mission is over, and it's 1 service member and 1 civilian killed in that attack today. Blues wouldn't have been the same without the Chess Brothers. They founded Chess Records in the 1950s, a label that amassed one of the most influential blues catalogs, including Chuck Berry, Etta James, and Muddy Waters.
Hold on, Sean off I would.
That song, Rolling Stone, turning out to inspire the name for the rock band and the magazine. Phil Chess, the label's co-founder, has died. He was 95. In New York, I'm Lisa Brady on Fox News Radio.
And welcome back to After Hours AM, everybody. I'm your host, and right along with me,
Steve Asher.
Hey, Steve, man, we got one of the coolest guests on. I love this guy, though. We've talked a lot. Robert Murch is he is the definitive Ouija board master. I call him the Ouija board master, okay, because quite honestly, he's always been my go-to guy, too, whenever we've talked about Ouija boards. But Robert has been in the world. He's the world's foremost collector and historian and expert on Ouija boards and the talking board, and he serves as chairman of the board for the Talking Board Historical Society. He has also founded a whole lot of other cool stuff, but he is also the go-to guy for Hollywood. So Hollywood calls Robert when they want to know about Ouija boards. What a great asset to have, because the Ouija board has been demonized and bastardized and everything else-ized over the years in Hollywood. And it's great to have someone like Robert to come in and set it straight. And he has been involved in all the coolest movies, especially the newest one out there, and he'll tell you all about it. But yes, Mr. Robert Murch, thank you for coming on to After Hours AM.
Well, thank you so much for having me, but for that awesome, introduction. I wish more people felt the same way about me. So, thank you.
Well, we were reading, before you came on, we're kind of getting the audience ready for Ouija board talk, of course, because the Ouija board is so polarizing. Okay. And we came into this, I was sent a link earlier by a Facebook fan of the show, and he says, well, there's 25 rules to a Ouija board. And so we were perusing them online, and not a one of them, Robert, made any sense. For instance.
Of course, because,
Yeah, for instance, does a Ouija board truly...
You guys go ahead, but...
Go ahead, sir.
No, I was just going to say, of course not, because without even hearing what they are, these are what we call Ouija-stitions or urban legends. And, they're based in potentially someone's experience that's passed down, and then people have to figure out how to get around whatever problem they have. And so most urban legends and superstitions and Ouija-stitions don't actually make sense, but they don't matter that they don't make sense because people believe them. So, since belief is 9/10 of your reality, the fact that it doesn't make sense won't stop people from actually doing them. And that's kind of a neater, more human aspect. But particularly when it comes to the Ouija board, a lot of people's fears are not founded in a real story that they can point to or that they experience. It's often what they've heard from other people.
Mm-hmm. It's like you're saying, lore that's handed down, but how many times do you get an email or a phone call or talk to somebody that says, when I was a teenager at a sleepover, we played with a Ouija board and it said we're all going to die?
So I get about 50-something plus emails every day, including weekends, of people using the Ouija boards. That doesn't include phone calls, because my phone number is pretty widely available. I do that completely on purpose. I do want to hear from people. Some of the stories are more detail. Some of them are things I'd never heard of before, but they often do follow the same pattern, which is I used a Ouija board, it scared the crap out of me, and now I'm afraid. And the reason is, even in the movies, the scariest thing that happens when you play a Ouija board is not what happens when you're playing. It's what happens when you stop. So the whole thing that, if you, because think about it, right? Like, you're sitting at the Ouija board, you ask it a question, what's the worst thing it's going to tell you? You're going to die. Okay, well, newsflash, we're all going to die.
That's
true. It's
true.
going to tell you how you're going to die? Okay, are you going to believe that? I mean, I will start believing what the Ouija board says when it gives me the lottery numbers. Then, once it gives me the lottery numbers and they're true, I'll start to pay attention. However, what happens is when you use the Ouija board, even if you say you don't believe, you're basically, you're admitting that potentially it might work. So you're suspending your belief in a way that's different than any other thing. And you're saying, well, maybe it will work. And once you do that, you're allowing that seed to be planted. And so once that seed is planted, what if it does work? Right?
Yeah.
So when you leave the Ouija board and it says something terrible or threatens you or whatever, all of a sudden you hear something. You see something out of the corner of your eye. Yeah. You start connecting the dots that may have been there the whole time. And so the story has begun. And that's what happens when you start to play the Ouija board. And so again, what does someone say? The planchette flew off the board. Well,
yeah.
To me, that's freaking cool.
That is cool.
I thought, what? Touching it, right? People pay a lot of money to go to these paranormal conferences and have a paranormal experience.
Yeah.
Right? They want this to happen. And so, hey, for $19.95, if you actually got some proof, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good investment.
That is a very good investment.
The difference is, again, what scares people. What scares people is what happens after. The fact that maybe they've opened up some line, there's a connection, a portal that they can't close. And so what they're really afraid of is what happens later. And so a lot of these Ouijasticians deal with, and again, without even hearing any of the 25 that you were told, if you really look at them, they have to do with the consequence of what happens after you play. If you don't follow one of these rules, like you say, if you don't say goodbye, you've left the connection open, the spirit you've been talking to can still continue to communicate with you, maybe in a scary way, maybe move things, maybe try to hurt you. But I mean, what doesn't make sense about that is, and it's great, there's a goodbye at the bottom, but it's like once you start a conversation with someone and you say goodbye to them, what if they don't want to stop talking to you?
True.
We've all had it. We've all been on the subway. Sometimes they follow you.
Yeah, sometimes.
And, as I always say, I'm way more afraid of the living than the dead.
Yeah, I would totally agree.
And
but how did it, Robert? How did it get such a bad rap? The Ouija board.
Well, because it's been around for a long time. The first thing is it's been around for a long time, and many generations have rediscovered it. And so, because it's been around for a long time, lots of stories, and it's been around long enough for our relationship with death to change a little bit. Talking boards come out in 1886. They leak out of the spiritualist movement into pop culture. So they move from just spiritualist parlors to kind of everybody's parlors. And, Ouija always being marketed differently than other talking boards, not specifically to those who want to contact the dead. Who knows? Maybe it's psychic phenomenon.
Sure.
Maybe you are talking to the dead. But they would make it so that anyone could play it. Maybe it's just for fun. You are just as okay asking, does Bobby like me, as you might try to contact someone you love that passed away. And so why it gets a bad rap is because we fundamentally believe as a society that parting the veil and talking to the dead can be costly. That in order to do so, there's a price to be paid. That it's not free. It's not something that everyone can do.
Yeah.
And if you do it, there are consequences. That's taught to us, in the Bible, you're not supposed to talk to the dead. There is just a fundamental belief that doing this, we all want to part the veil, but then we're also scared if we do.
Yeah.
So because the Ouija board has been so accessible, so many of them have been made. I don't know if I did this before, but we'll throw a number out. The only number Hasbro has ever given to us about Ouija board sales are that between 1967, the first full year it was in production by Parker Brothers that they bought, and 2004, 13 million Ouija boards were made.
Man, that's a lot.
So so let's go back to 1890 when the Ouija board gets its name and starts being manufactured under that, to today. How many hundreds of millions are you talking about? And then think about the actual reported cases of things that went wrong.
Yeah.
It's almost a statistical error. But that doesn't matter. And that's the beauty of the Ouija board. And it kind of goes into your conversation about why does it have a bad rap? It has a bad rap because even though the facts don't support it, we believe it. And that's the really, so Hollywood, some people will blame the movies. I get to work on some of these movies, and I love that they explore the fantastic, the extreme. When I go to the movies, I do not want to see my boring everyday life portrayed. I want to see something that will make me think, something that will make me feel something, or something that will scare the hell out of me. And so just because I see it in the movie doesn't mean it's real. But that's not the same for everybody. Does art imitate life, or does life imitate art? So did the Ouija board start getting portrayed as something negative because it was already being seen as negative in the world? Or is it that they started it, and because we saw it, we started to feel it? Personally, I think it's a combination of both. I think they feed each other. But the Ouija board is an excellent, if not awesome, way to start a movie or a plot.
Oh, yeah.
Of someone getting in trouble, potentially talking to something they don't know.
Yep.
Because you can't see what's on the other side. And you have to take a leap of faith that what you're communicating with is what it says it is.
Hey, Robert.
And so all of those things kind of go into how it got a bad rap.
Hey, Robert, I was going to ask you real quick. Kind of like the queen mother, at least for me growing up, in regards to connections to Ouija boards and spirit communications, for me, was The Exorcist. Okay? Everybody and their brother has seen this movie, and that's where a lot of people got their information about these boards. Growing up in the South, Southern Baptist area, that was a really big no-no. But it was such a big no-no, of course, the forbidden fruit. Everybody wanted to see this movie. Oh, you got to see it. It's crazy, and all this stuff. How much do you credit or discredit media in regards to the sort of face that the Ouija board has today?
It has 50% of the credit. Again, the news and the media. So when I look at these things, I don't just track movies or TV shows, though I do track those, and so do the Talking Board Historical Society in general. But we also track, cases, things that people talk about the Ouija board, advertisements, and there have been fantastic cases. By fantastic, I don't mean good. I mean like just extreme cases that the Ouija board told me to kill my daddy, so I did, or the Ouija board told me that, people using the Ouija board to kill other people because people would believe what the Ouija board said. So the news and the media doesn't report when someone uses the Ouija board and it tells them where their lost ring was. That's boring. No one cares. You care.
Yeah.
The news doesn't. The news cares when someone gets murdered and the Ouija board's involved.
Sensationalism.
So, perception. Yeah, exactly. So when people see these fantastic cases, it sticks in your head. If I tell you, holy crap, my next door neighbor used a Ouija board and then he killed his sister because he says it told him to. And then, by the way, my other neighbor used the Ouija board and found his wedding ring that was gone for like 2 months. Like, which story is going to stick in your head?
Yeah.
Clearly the one that the person got killed. And The Exorcist, though it is the line in the sand, so in 1973, The Exorcist comes out. It's an incredibly small scene in the movie, like less than 2 minutes. She's down in the basement. Her mother comes down and says, "Where did you find this?" And she said, "Oh, I found it here in the basement. What are you doing? Been playing it. You can't play it by yourself. I play it with Captain Howdy." Who's Captain Howdy? He answers the questions. It doesn't really work. Doesn't want to play with the mother. They make a joke, and that's it. But what's inferred is she played with the Ouija board alone.
Yeah.
And then she became possessed. And that kind of slipped in slowly. So I've said this before. It's not a switch that got flipped. It's not like everyone saw The Exorcist and then everyone was afraid of the Ouija board. There have always been people, especially religious groups, who did not like the Ouija board from the beginning. It's just that the general public's perception of it was, oh, well, let's play it anyway. And it's fun. It scares us, whatever. But after The Exorcist, lots of movies were influenced, as were people.
Yeah.
And so that belief that playing alone can cause possession started to build steam.
Now, I'm assuming, Robert, that you have played the Ouija board alone, and you're just fine talking to us today.
I'm clearly possessed by Satan. And then
You're clearly. I heard in your voice.
More people in front. No. I have played it alone. It's actually pretty interesting. It's hard. One of the lessons you learn in playing it with anybody is, we're humans and we're control freaks, and we really don't like to give up control. Mm-hmm. In order for the Ouija board to work well, you have to let it move. Like, you have to go with it. And, I played it with people who've been pushing so hard it breaks the little legs. And it's like, hey, it's not going to move if you do that. And then also, the minute it moves, people pull their hands off. Like,
yeah.
Hey, it also doesn't move by itself unless it's in the movies.
Yeah.
So, you really have to practice. One of the things I love about the Ouija series movies are they introduced a Ouija station, which is you circle the board for the number of players that are in it. Well, do I think the spirit needs to, an all-knowing spirit needs to, by circles, know how many people are playing? No.
Probably not.
But it's a great way to warm up.
Sure.
It's a great way to warm up.
Well,
so
I also like
it with everybody.
I also like the new spin on there where you look through the planchette and you can see ghosts.
An amazing story. So I'll totally tell you about kind of that kind of came out of an interesting place as well. But circling the board allows you to know how hard to move it. And I have found by actually using the as friends we've gathered, hearts are true, spirits near, we call to you, and then circling the board, has actually gotten people who've never been able to get the Ouija board to work. And that's because they now have something to do. They now have a ritual. And it helps them feel what it's supposed to feel like when it moves. Because if they were pushing really hard, they wouldn't be able to do the circle.
Yeah.
So, and it's, by saying this little poem, it puts their brain in the right place to open that door to, whether it's talking to their subconscious or whether they're talking to something else or whether there's some form of telepathy going on. But, the eye to the other side is really awesome. Truth is, the reason the original planchettes that we used to the Ouija board did not have a big hole in it. You used the point to point it out. For generations. They didn't add the hole until William Fold's patents ran out and he needed another one. William Fold being the guy in whose family made the Ouija board for a lot of years. Okay. And so he put a hole in it so that he could yet have another patent on the Ouija board, and that would be still enforced. So the eye to the other side was born out of super practicality, commercialism, everything we love, capitalism in the world, and yet it is now given birth to a new Ouija station. And just like you said, they do it in the movie where you look through it and see the ghost. I'm warning everyone right now, many of Hasbro's Ouija boards have plastic pins in them. If you hold them up to your eye, you will poke yourself in the eye. The one in the movie does not. So pay attention to which side you put it up to your eye. Yeah. People always say it's all fun and games until you lose an eye. Well,
that could happen.
It actually means it. It could happen in this case. So make sure you don't put the sides with the pin sticking out into your eye.
And if you do, don't contact us.
My God.
I know, I'm warning everyone right now. I'm giving everyone free advice.
Got it. Hey, Rob, let me ask you. But you would think, okay, say a person that plays ball, they get used to a certain area, playing, on a court. They know that court. Certain ball teams, know their fields. If a person, say, uses one particular board more often than not, will they have more of a psychic connection or whatever with that board, or is it more the ability of the user? If a board is used more often than not, will it be primed for new users to come in, or does none of that really matter?
It all matters if it matters to you. So to me, I have never found any board. I have, one of the oldest ones we know was Ouija before it was Ouija. Mm-hmm. And that board works no better or worse than the latest board by Hasbro. So for me, it doesn't matter. Maybe it's because I love them all, right? Like, to me, they're just as cool. It doesn't matter. But to some people, what the board looks like calls to them.
Okay.
So if it's, say, maybe they're really enthralled with Egypt, an Egyptian-themed board is the one that works. And maybe that's older, maybe it's newer. To some, seeing an older board calls to them. So the fact that it's been around a long time and used a lot works. To other people, they won't touch a board that's been used by other people. They have to open it new.
Really?
And so
interesting.
The point of that is it's all what works for you. So if you believe that this particular board will work better, it always does.
Okay.
And that's because the portal and the communication that's being opened is inside of you. Again, whether it's you in your subconscious, whether it's you in another entity, whether it's you and your friend having a psychic connection, all of those things are between you and that person, and the board is just the tool you're using.
Okay.
What's important about the Ouija board is it puts you in the right place to open up that door.
Sure.
There's nothing, I promise you, and I say this all the time, I have over 1,000 different talking boards, and I have all of this stuff besides that. A lot of stuff from the originators of the Ouija board. My house is a living museum to the Ouija board. And nothing bad has ever happened. I mean, look how good my life is. I get to go to LA and work on it. I get to work on TV sets, and I get to be here talking to you. It doesn't have to be a bad thing if you don't let it.
Yeah.
If you don't believe it. If you don't try to do something bad with it.
Is there ever anyone...
You're sitting there kind of...
Well, exactly. I was going to ask you, is there anyone, Robert, that you know of that almost gets Ouija board obsessed or almost becomes an addiction?
You're talking to them. Yeah, I'm one of those examples. I'm completely, obsessed with Ouija boards. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's in a positive way, right? Like it's ended up getting me to meet some really fun, cool people, learn a lot of stuff, constantly expanding what I know. Are there people who use it? Of course, people are addictive beings. Like when Ouija boards, first came out, there's a huge boom. And there were lots of articles about women kind of going insane because they were using the board so much and they believed what it said. So we saw the same thing happen with the internet. There were people who were not bathing for weeks on end. They wouldn't go to sleep. Anytime there's something new, and so the Ouija board may not be new, but it might be new to the person who's using it.
Sure.
And the fact that they're actually getting answers is incredibly hypnotic, right? So, none of us just want to sit down unless we're very logical thinkers.
Yeah.
We want the Ouija board to work. That's why we still buy it. That's why it's so popular, because even though most of us think, well, it's just a game or, it's the other person pushing it, what if it isn't? What if this one time it actually worked and I was talking to something else other than me and the people in the room?
Yeah.
And that's the magic of the Ouija board. And that's why we still do it, because it might just work. And so for some people, that allure is overwhelming. And they can't stop it. And so Kevin Tenney, I spent a day with Kevin Tenney, who wrote Witchboard, which came out in 1986. He's my huge hero. And while I was in LA, every time I go, I try to sit with him. And we sat from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. just talking about everything, all this time that's gone by and all the Ouija board stuff and Witchboard in particular. And he did an amazing thing in Witchboard, which was taking all of these kind of Ouija-stitions that were around at the time he wrote it and kind of wrapped them together, to make a narrative.
That was a good movie.
That movie also had a really big effect on why you believe what you believe.
Yep. Yeah, I remember it well. It was the 80s, and everybody was seeing the movie, of course, back in those days on Betamax or VHS, whatever you had. And I remember freaking the living hell out of me, man. I mean, whoa, this Ouija board, whoa, it's scary as hell, and it still sticks with me today, that movie.
It has a huge impression. It's really neat. If you watch movies, that movie was literally a Ouija board movie in the sense that it was all about the use of the board. But it was also a love story. It was about people overcoming their fears of, having someone trust them and trusting them, letting someone in. Because in the end, the main character used his love over that person, over his fears of commitment and all that stuff. That's why that movie was hokey and funny and great and fantastically written. Because it was actually used a Ouija board to tell all of that story. But it was really about those characters, right? Like we could relate to them. The guy, we all have a friend who's stupidly sarcastic. He has an answer for everything.
I do have one of those friends. Yes.
And then we have friends who take everything seriously. Like, these are the rules of the board. And we're like, these are the rules of the board. You know, like we're laughing at them because they're so serious about everything. And, you know, best friends who get into fights and friends who fight about the women or a guy that they fall in love with. Sure. That movie really, it was so typically 80s that I often think it gets lost in the genre of 80s B movies. Yeah. Because I don't think it was a B movie. I actually think it was a fantastically written movie because they're making fun of everything about the 80s, even in the 80s.
Yeah. You know? I caught that when I watched it years later as an adult. And I watched how he threw the 80s stereotypes in there and things like that. Then you get it later on, like, oh, I get it. It was kind of a tongue-in-cheek poke fun at the 80s kind of movie along with a horror movie with a good tale.
Yeah, you know, the best movies always allow you to relate to them. So Kevin Tenney did an amazing job in Witchboard 1 and 2, and then his part work in 3, by allowing you to relate to the characters and the world that he put you in. Yeah. So whether you believe Ouija boards work or don't, he set up characters because we all have these friends, you know, like crazy, super serious. The world was realistic. And I think what people are going to love about Ouija Origin of Evil is how realistic this world is and how people believe things because they want to, even when there are signs in front of them that something's wrong.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
This new movie really captures that.
I hear it's a great movie. I've had some colleagues I've seen it. I haven't seen it yet. I'm definitely going to have to get a screener link. We got to run a break here when we come back. More Robert Murch. Don't go anywhere. Be right back right after this. Author Steve Asher brings us Hauntings of Trilogy. Steve's first book, Hauntings of the Kentucky State Penitentiary. This first installment of the trilogy tells us the tale of the Kentucky State Penitentiary and why it's so haunted. With every turn of the page, there will be something new and terrifying. Pick up Steve's new book, Hauntings of the Kentucky State Penitentiary, at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and all better bookstores everywhere.
In 1999, The Exorcist was voted the scariest movie of all time.
Your daughter doesn't say she's a demon. She says she's the devil himself.
Entertainment Weekly calls it the most viscerally harrowing movie ever made.
That thing upstairs isn't my daughter.
The most electrifying movie of the 20th century is now coming back to theaters.
Where's Reagan?
In here with us.
Author William Peter Blatty and director William Friedkin have created an expanded, thrilling new version of The Exorcist with footage that has never been seen before.
She needs a priest.
Don't miss The Exorcist in the version you've never seen. Possessing theaters everywhere. Rated R, under 17, not admitted without parent.
This Halloween, remember, some kids can't enjoy candy due to food allergies. That's why there's the Teal Pumpkin Project. You put out a pumpkin that's painted teal green. That way trick-or-treaters know that you're handing out things like stickers or glow sticks that are safe. But there are so many other dangers for children on Halloween night. Shouldn't we do more to make sure they're extra safe and healthy? That's why there's the Puce Pumpkin Project for vegetarian children. Just add a pumpkin in front of your door that's painted Puce. That means all the treats you're handing out are vegetables. Healthy Halloween! If you put out a magenta pumpkin, you show support of children who have been bullied. It's hard enough for them already. Don't make it worse for them on Halloween with scary decorations or spooky music. It could frighten them. And finally, the Seafoam Pumpkin, for children whose parents don't believe in vaccines. We don't want them picking up easily avoidable diseases like measles, mumps, or chickenpox. Beware the Seafoam. And have a happy Halloween. Remember, if they can get past all the politically correct pumpkins barricading your door, you haven't kept them safe.
Do you have a question for our guest tonight? Don't feel like calling the show? Not a problem. Email those questions to afterhoursam@gmail.com. Again, that's afterhoursam@gmail.com.
Please, Lord, help me to release this demon!
Welcome back to After Hours AM, everybody. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me,
Steve Asher.
Hey, we are talking to Robert Murch tonight. Robert Murch is the foremost expert on the Ouija board. And he had just, we were kind of talking a little bit. There's a great movie out there that's just set to release this Friday, Ouija, Origin of Evil, rather. You're going to want to sit in on that one. We've been hearing a little bit off air from Robert. Whoa, it is way scarier. That's what I've been hearing than the original. And so that's always good. They ramp it up as we go. But Robert, I got to ask you the question that everybody hit me with when they knew you're coming on the show. What is up with the Zozo demon phenomena and Ouija boards?
Yeah, it's kind of awesome. I know a lot of people who don't like it, and a lot of people who are fascinated by it. Darren Evans is a good friend and a great guy who's done a lot of work on it. And, he really believes he's had this experience with a demon that spelled out its name, Zozo. And it's really colored his life. And the experience he had was horrible and really horrible to his family. So that experience, that digging, that putting it on the internet really exploded. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people that I talked to today, in fact, today, out of the, say, 50-plus emails I got, 6 of them definitely were about Zozo. And that's really amazing to me because, his Zozo experience happened years ago, and it does not die. Zozo has become part of and is now a Ouija-stition. You will not be able to divorce it. I personally believe Zozo is here to stay. And what that is people at the board try to ask questions, and when they ask who's there, it spells out Zio. And Darren and others believe that they're speaking to a demonic entity. In fact, he and Rosemary Ellen Guiley, another person that I know very well, wrote a book on it and the Zozo phenomenon. And he covers it in depth, kind of like from the beginning to the end. And I think it explores, whether you believe it or, whether you believe in Zozo or not, it explores our greatest fear. It's kind of like the modern exorcist, the modern Pazuzu, right?
Gotcha.
Playing with a Ouija board, you could become demonically possessed or have your life ruined. And so I think the reason it doesn't go away is because it exhibits the worst that can happen if you play a Ouija board. It is that kind of example. So that's what's going on, and I get most of my calls and, a percentage of my emails are based specifically addressing Zozo. And what do you do once you've contacted? Like some people, every time I play the Ouija board, it just goes to Zio. I gotta get rid of this guy. I can't. Nothing bad's happening to those particular people. They're just sick and tired of talking to them.
Yeah. Get out of here already. I'm sick of talking to you. Let someone else on the line.
So it's like having a Ouija board troll or something.
Exactly. And not to mention, if you believe you're talking to a demon, that's kind of not probably exactly what you were going for when you were like, oh my God, does Bobby like me?
Exactly. Does Sally have a crush on me?
When you're playing, you're playing with it at a sleepover. Zozo isn't really where you want to go. But again, so is Zozo real? Yeah, it's real to everyone who experiences him. Is it in people's subconscious? Did they read about it? Is that why it's happening? Who knows? I just, I've learned one thing in all my years of research and playing and talking to people, is that everybody's Ouija board experience is incredibly real to them. Mm-hmm. And so for me, as an outsider who's not experiencing what it's very easy to judge. Oh, that's just crap. That's nothing. It's just in their minds. It's all their baggage. Maybe.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make it any less real. When someone really feels threatened by something they've talked to over the Ouija board, they're not just like, oh, you won't believe it. I believe the Ouija board, and that thing threatened me, and then holy shit, you should see the stuff that went down in my house. Like, that's not how they're talking. They're really concerned and want to get it out. And I mean, even today, though it's changing, especially with more movies, the Ouija board has gotten cooler. The Ouija board is a huge brand. It's, hats and T-shirts and underwear and backpacks and shoes and, it's everywhere. Because it's gotten cooler, the paranormal world has opened its eyes to seeing that the Ouija board is potentially no different than any other spirit communication tool that they're using. And that if there's danger in using the Ouija board, what it means is there's danger in just conjuring. There's danger in reaching, if there's danger in reaching out. How you do it is an interesting thing, because I've had people will say, they'll use K2 meters, they'll use EVP recorders, but hell no will they not touch a Ouija board. And you're like, wait a minute. So Casper the Friendly Ghost gave you the rule book and said, okay, EVP recorders and K2 meters fine, the Ouija board, I gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, when I use my rational mind, I don't buy that. I've had many conversations with Lorraine Warren. She's a wonderful, wonderful person. I'm sure all of your listeners know who she is.
Yep.
Her and I fundamentally disagree about Ouija boards. I love them. She hates them. But we do both agree that if there's a danger, it doesn't matter the tool.
Yep.
It's in the act of your conjuring, calling something to you. And how you do that is regardless, unless you give the board power. And see, you asked kind of like a question about the Ouija board before. Why is it still so big, and why do people believe it's so bad? We give the Ouija board power. We don't give to any other spirit communication tool.
True.
We ask the Ouija board questions, and we say, it's the Ouija board. You say, get the Ouija board out of the house. This is how you have to use the Ouija board. You can't do this. You can do that. Okay, there's no rules on the K2 meter, right? It's like, put the thing down, ask it questions. If it blinks, it's working. If it doesn't, there's nothing. Like, the Ouija board has its own thing going. It has its own life. And so that makes it different because we believe it. If you totally walk into it just being like, hey, this is plastic and cardboard, man, like, I don't know what to tell you, then, you're not going to get yourself into trouble. But if you believe you're consulting an oracle, something that is going to hook and connect you, you are opening yourself up because you are giving it power.
Gotcha.
You don't give anything else.
It's the intent of the user, not the board itself.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I believe. There's people who I very much respect, and John Zaffis, who believe that things can attach to you, that they can cause, energy can kind of settle and stuff. And I haven't had that experience. Again, over 1,000 of them, they seem to like me. Maybe because I'm obsessed with them and I treat them well. They don't bite me, like a dog or something. I don't know, but I just haven't had that experience. But maybe that's true. Like maybe a board can carry something with it, depending on who was using it before. But I think for the vast majority, it's not really the board. It's what you bring with it. Because you all know, like, even the best psychic, the people who you're like, man, I don't believe in psychics, but this person, man, they're on, man, all the time. They're really good. When there are days where they just don't. They're off. Like, they don't have a good day. The connection's not good. Whatever it is. And so I don't think, because we know there are people who claim to be able to talk to the dead or whatever without a tool, I don't think that the Ouija board in itself is inherently good or bad. It's just simply what you make of it.
It's neutral until it's acted upon.
And that's the hook.
Hey, Robert.
And that's the hook, because we bring with us that stuff. Yeah.
What I was going to ask you was, in your experience with the board, and everyone, they originally called it like a talking board or spirit board. I mean, has there anyone, like maybe an independent group or I'm having a brain fart, parapsychological group, like to study, to see if it has been linked with maybe other dimensional type beings, or if it's, what do we have that shows for sure that, or do you even think it is for sure that it is a direct, living to spirit contact, or do you think it's beyond that, or is it one of those things that's more like what you try to contact is what you contact?
I think that the real question we ask when we play the Ouija board isn't, can you contact the dead with a Ouija board? It's, can you contact the dead? Mm-hmm. Can you talk to them? And the answer is, if it's possible to contact the dead, then of course a Ouija board would work. It's super easy. And we all know how to work it in the living, so the dead would be able to know it too. I always question the people who create these inventions, these crazy, amazing, cool, super things. I don't even know how to work it when I'm alive, let alone if I was dead.
Yeah, well, exactly.
So I think about these things. I'm not saying it's impossible, and I'm not saying maybe again. See, we believe things that don't have any rational thought behind them, in the sense that we believe them because we want to. Okay, so some people believe when you die, you become an all-knowing, all-powerful spirit. And then some people are like, no, if you're stupid when you were alive, you're probably pretty stupid when you're dead. I don't know if it changes. So if you're an evil person when you're alive, are you evil when you're dead?
Yeah.
Or how do you somehow become omniscient? I just don't know. I'm not saying it's not possible. I don't know anything about the dead. I know 25 years of this research, I know no more than I did when I first started asking those questions. And again, that's why the Ouija board's so powerful, because potentially in 1995, I'm going to call and plan to the other side, right?
None of them have showed up, Robert. None of them have showed up, Robert, and said, okay, here's the deal. This is what it's like in the afterlife to you through the Ouija board yet. Have you ever asked them, what's it like when you die? Where do you go? I'm sure you've asked that question.
Yeah, we ask all kinds of questions when we use them because we kind of want to know, what's happening, what's going on. But again, what are you really talking to? Does it really part the veil? And some people who've used it will say, yes, I've had an experience that convinces me I talked to my grandmother. I played it hundreds of thousands of times, I think, at this point in my life, and I have never had an experience that has convinced me 100% that I've spoken to either a ghost, or something that wasn't living, something that was not inside of me or one of the players. I just haven't had it. I have people who I completely trust and believe, and they believe they have. I just haven't had that experience yet, but I keep doing this because I want to believe, just like the X-Files. I want this to be true for a number of reasons. I want the Ouija board to be real because in case someone dies who I didn't have a chance to say goodbye to, or I have unresolved issues with, I might get a chance. I want the Ouija board to work because maybe I was a total jerk one day and told someone to F off, and I was in a bad mood, and then they were hit by a bus. And I want to be able to apologize. Yeah. Or I want the Ouija board to work because I want to know what happens to me or my loved ones when they die, so that it's not so scary.
Answering man's deepest questions.
That's right. So it's a question, and so it's this simple game, this thing with just letters and numbers, a few words on it, and a planchette. It allows us to explore all of those deep issues, or simply ask if Bobby likes us.
Well, exactly. Everything from the fantastic to the mundane, you can ask those questions and not feel weird asking it.
Yeah, that's what it's there for. The Ouija board, ultimately, and I believe this with all my heart, is a mirror.
Yeah.
It reflects our darkest fears and our deepest hopes. Mm-hmm. And so the Ouija board reflects what you bring to it. Mm-hmm. If you believe this is opening a connection to the other side, it does for you. Yeah. And I don't know if it really does. Again, because the communication is really between you and something else, the Ouija board, again, just the tool you're using, the Ouija board allows something to open up inside you, something that's already there. What makes people scared of the Ouija board is, oh no, once you open this portal up, you can't turn it off. Yeah. Maybe that's true. Yeah. Maybe it's true even if it's just opening the door to your subconscious.
It very well could be true, but Robert, we got to talk a little bit about Ouija, Origin of Evil. That's the newest installment of the Ouija franchise, and And boy, oh boy, we're talking about it off air, and it sounds like a great film. I haven't had a chance to watch it, but I will be seeing it. And I like the first one, but the second one, you explain that there's more of an investment into the viewer because now we're not dealing with teenagers that you know are going to die, but we're dealing with families with deep issues.
Yeah, and I think this is what's great. I love Blumhouse, I love Universal Studios, and I love Hasbro, and I think they really got it right this time. I was just up there, and I was invited to go to the Hollywood premiere and see it with the people who made the movie. You know, I mean, and that's kind of a really unique experience because these people worked really hard, you know, to address some critiques that were on the first one. And, you know, again, when you do a movie that involves a lot of teenagers, because we've grown up in this genre, we know they're all going to die.
Yeah.
And there might be one that gets away. But that's it. And so, you know, it's hard to get invested into the characters per se when you know they're just going to get knocked off. And though I really like the characters from the first one, I could understand that critique. This movie is a prequel. So even though the sequel, it happens before the first one, and this movie stands completely on its own. You won't even understand it's a prequel until about 85% of the way through.
Okay.
And then suddenly you realize how it's connects. And you don't need to either. That's the beauty of this. If you never saw the first one, you don't need to. You can see this movie on its own. I think most people will want to see where it goes afterwards. But if you haven't, you're okay. You're going to do fine. But yeah, so without spoilers, no spoiler alerts, you know, in what they have released, and I've watched this carefully so I don't spoil it for anyone. But, you know, what happens in this movie is a family is dealing with the death of their father and a husband. Mm-hmm. And it affects these characters deeply, as we have all either had it happen to ourselves or had friends of families have this happen to. And what happens is the Ouija board potentially allows the problem of them missing their father to be solved. And yet, there's always the question of, are they really talking to what this board says they are talking to?
Sure.
And the fact that they so badly miss him and love him and want to talk to him, that they might overlook some pretty glaring problems and warning signs that this might not be exactly who they're talking to. And that's basically how this movie explores Ouija. And again, relationships, love, loss, the very basic things, and what can go wrong.
You know what they need to do, though, Robert, is release a movie where the Ouija board is the hero. It helps find Timmy in the well.
There are many, many, many movies that, you know, the Ouija board used to, in the 40s especially, spell out who the killer was.
Okay.
You know, there's a Charlie Chan movie where the Ouija board is used to do just that. You know, and I think it's The Uninvited. I can't remember what year it is. That really bugs me, but I think it's 1940-something, where the Ouija board answers, you know, they're saying, who's the bad guy? Who's the killer? Who's the problem? And it's spelling out who it is and giving them clues. So, you know, before the Ouija board was necessarily and overwhelmingly viewed as the thing that caused the problem, it was the thing that was helping to solve the problem.
Okay, so it wasn't really until The Exorcist that it took the turn to the dark side, so to speak.
Well, no, yes and no. It's a weird question to answer that way, but the pendulum was already swinging. You know, in the 1960s, the original 13 Ghosts, the Ouija board didn't do anything bad, but it was giving some pretty scary messages. I mean, it told them there's 13 ghosts and someone's going to die, and by the way, it's you.
Oh,
so it was already turning in the movies that it was getting darker. And so, you know, did Blatty and Friedkin, who did The Exorcist, the movie, were they just following what was already happened? Like, was it a natural progression? Mm-hmm. It seems to be, when we look at it in movies, that it was already getting darker. In fact, the very next year after The Exorcist, there is an episode of The Waltons called The Ghost. And they're playing a spirit board, you know, in the barn. You know, it's the Waltons, for the love of God. You know what I mean? Like, how much more Americana can you get, you know?
Yeah.
And so they're at the spirit board. They ask some questions. And then the mother walks in, and she's like, you know, what are y'all doing in here? And they're like, you know, what's wrong, Mom? And she's like, it's that board.
It's a
like
dang board.
Playing it out there. And so suddenly, again, the board. So if you to really understand Ouija and the brilliance of how they explore Ouija and the origin of evil is, again, we give the board power.
Yeah.
We believe. And they really explore so many of the things we've been talking about, including the rules of the board.
Yeah.
There are 3 things you should never do. And in the first movie, they explore never play alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
And there's a million.
Movie they explore never play in a graveyard.
Everybody has different rules, though. Everyone I've been talking to about the Ouija board, everybody has, all the rules, everyone has a one cardinal rule, never play alone. And that's always seems to be rule number 1. But then after that, their rules vary. It's all over the spectrum after that. It's everything from don't play naked to don't play in a cemetery. Yeah, it's just crazy.
Naked?
Well, nudist colonies. Come on, man. They love Ouija. They love Ouija boards.
Well, that's a different, thing when someone says, place your hand on a planchette. Then it gets a little different if you're naked.
Well, that is true. That is true. But all these rules, like don't fry bacon and use the Ouija board at the same time. All these weird rules for no good reason.
Oh, my God. I can... that old rule that they talk about, there's like a porn version of anything? There's going to be like... It's going to have a horrible title like, is that your planchette? Are you happy to see me?
I've heard it a million times. I've used that line. I can't say that I've invented it, but I've used it for like 25 years. In fact, so my husband and I were in a bar in Montreal, and I assume it was a gay bar because I walked in the head of, typically, I'm wearing a Ouija board t-shirt.
Sure.
And some guy walked up to me and grabbed me on the crotch and was like, hey man, I got my hands on your planchette. And I'm like, yeah, like a little too tightly, like, holy crap. And so, I've had it happen, I can say. It definitely,
yeah.
When Trump says that he grabs women by their, I've been grabbed myself, so I understand.
Yeah.
What's his name? Zozo.
What's his name? Zozo, by chance?
Yeah.
Hello, Robert. I'm Zozo, and I'm here to collect.
Oh, my God.
Well, but, quite honestly, though, Robert, the Ouija board has and will be, I imagine, for quite some time to come, a very polarizing object. Inanimate object that everyone's afraid of, or at least intrigued by. It seems that the movies add new lore to the Ouija board, but for everybody throughout time, it will always be at that sleepover or something when they're kids, something happened in their teenage mind they cannot explain, and that is always going to happen. That's always going to be there, and that's kind of a great thing at the same time. It's almost like a rite of passage.
Yeah, today the Ouija board is a rite of passage. It's something that most of us or people will play at a sleepover, and it's also, what I've kind of noticed in research, it's many people's first experience or first purposeful experience in spirit communication.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're younger, you might have heard something, seen something, experienced something. But the Ouija board allows us, a lot of us, the first time we actively ask, is someone there?
Yeah.
Do you have a message for us?
Yeah.
And first experiences, man, they mold everything.
Oh, they do.
Just think about the first time you had sex, first time you drove a car,
Yeah.
first time you were kissed. Sometimes those experiences were great. Often they're not, and they're over quickly. But they leave an indelible mark in your brain.
They do, a lot like the first time I drove a car, in the car. You know what I'm saying? The first time on prom night there, and I hear you, it's over too quickly, and then you're thinking to yourself, wow, that was over quickly, and then you want to go deeper into it, so to speak. You want to go deeper into the Ouija board and figure out what makes it work and what makes it operate the way it does.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%.
Exactly. But it's been really, thank you so much, Robert, for coming on the show. It's really been a very interesting, I guess, somewhat history lesson as well on the Ouija board that everyone fears, though. Everyone I talked to today all fears this darn thing, except for you, of course, a few others. But most everybody fears it rather than, kind of embraces it for the inanimate fun or, at times game it was meant to be sold as. It's always evil. It's evil. Grandma said so.
Well, like I always say, I'll leave it on this note. Ouija boards don't kill people. People kill people.
That is true.
If you want to know a lot more about the Ouija board and the wonderful people I work with, check out the Talking Board Historical Society. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and, our website is tbhs.org. If you want to know what I happen to be doing, what bizarre thing I'm up to at the moment, you can check out robertmurch.com or look me up. I have a public page on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and, as this movie comes out, you'll see me promoting a lot. One, because, I got to work with these wonderful people, and two, it's a really good movie. It's a great Halloween movie. You will be scared, and I think many of you will want to play the Ouija board after this.
Everyone check it out. Everyone check out the movie, Origin of Evil, Ouija board movie. Brand new one, coming up, 2016. Gonna scare the living bejesus out of each and every one of us, but that's what we love about them. And Robert, again, thank you so much for coming on the show. On behalf of myself, Joel Sturgis, of course, Mr. Stephen Asher, take care of each other, love each other, and see you guys all next time.
Thank you for listening to this edition of After Hours AM, and please remember to like us on Facebook and also follow us over on Twitter.